Hi, I'm Audrey, and I am here with,
Jeffrey A. Smith, but most people call me Jeff.
and we're here to talk about. So you have two books out right now. You
Yes, I do.
have Cato- Cathoma,
Cathoma's Cathoma's
Cathoma's
faded.
Faded,
Yep.
and I watched a video to see how Cathoma. I can do it. I did it. And the first book in the Shores of Deluge series, which is Shrouds of Whispers.
Shroud
Shroud
of
of
Wisdom.
Shroud of Whispers.
Yep.
Um, and then you also have another book releasing this year, right?
Yes, it'll come out in September. I
And this is
just figured out the title, so I'm not going to say it just yet.
okay. Okay. That's
But if
exciting
you,
that we're gonna plan on doing like a title release on I don't know, like Instagram or X or something like that.
yeah, yeah,
No.
yeah, because I just ordered the cover, so I'm going through that part of it, and then I'll start releasing different things as we go.
Are you using the same cover artist?
Yes, I am.
That's awesome. Those covers are so
Demonza. Yeah.
beautiful.
Oh, thank you. I was a little worried about Shroud of Whispers because it reads romantasy if you don't look at it too
Uh,
closely.
I guess. I mean, I could see how because it kind of follows that convention with the flowers and the filigree like and the dagger even. I didn't find it as somebody who does read romantasy. I don't
Mhm.
think swirling stuff going on to
Yeah.
make it too much of me.
Well,
But
there
yeah.
was a version that had a lot of swirly stuff. I'm
Oh
like, nope, that's too far.
yeah, that absolutely uh, um so I've actually read Shroud of Whispers and it's not a romantasy at all.
No.
It fantasy is a murder mystery, but there's also other elements, like almost a horror element to it.
Mhm.
There, there's a lot happening in that book, but it all just really works together. How did you come up with attacking kind of this large scope for
So
your plot?
so there were like three elements that really brought it all together.
Mhm.
I wrote a short story quite a few years ago that was going to be part of an anthology that unfortunately the publishing house fell apart and it never
Mhm.
got published. And that's Samuel's story.
Oh, okay.
And so it was just his story, that part of the murder mystery. Um and it was a lot shorter because short story, you're in and you're out, and it
Yeah.
caused some problems because I didn't have enough suspects when I was far into the book, and I went, wait a minute, there's only one real suspect. I need to change this.
Hmm.
Um, then True Story, she is a character. She's actually a D&D character.
Oh, okay.
Um, she was my first 5e character, not my first character because I've been playing that game way too long.
Yeah.
Um, and I kind of came up with, I'd never played a warlock because I never knew that wasn't something you could play back in the day. So I thought, oh, I'll try that. And her drug addiction and other aspects. So I kind of developed that character separate. And then there's the overall arcing story of the Shores of the Deluge and the world building I'd done since way too long. And the story in there's a major kind of world element that happens during that story. I think
Hmm.
it's kind of a spoiler, so I'm not going to really get into that.
Okay, fair.
um and those were the three elements. I decided I'm going to push all these together, and it really just it came together really nicely. I thought I didn't feel like I had to force anything except for chapter 41, but that's a whole other thing. And just it I could see the end of the story. First
Hmm.
off, I had the whole short story with Samuel, and I just needed to kind of pull that out more. Because I think it was maybe 3 days of story in the short story, and the book is about 8 days because I
That's
actually had to
quick.
map it out. Yeah.
Yeah, that's really quick. But there's everything. I think that makes sense though because of
Mhm.
how quickly things in the plot of that story really go downhill. Things go downhill real quick.
Yeah, they do.
And it's like momentum, like the momentum, like an avalanche or a snowball coming downhill. That's kind
Yeah.
of how things happen. So it feels like much longer with how much stuff happens, but I think 8 days makes sense,
Well, I was actually
retrospectively.
I was surprised by that because I got to the point where I'm like, well, I need to kind of figure out exactly how this is all. I'm a discovery writer, so
Okay.
I don't outline. So I kind of get to a point where I got to go, okay, how did this when did it start? And then I started kind of connecting it to the calendar, and then there's a holy day in there, so I had to kind of weave that into the story. And uh it when I finally figured, oh my god, this is only 8 days.
So, okay, so hearing you talk about being a discovery writer and like okay, mapping things out and talking about D&D and all this stuff. I believe you were talking on Bearded Book Beast about how you were DMing.
Yeah,
Sounds hearing you talk. I haven't DM'd, but I've been in a few D&D campaigns and I've spoke with my DMs like offline. How you're talking is very much DM coded. Do you find that when you're writing, you sometimes approach your characters and your stories as if you are DMing a D&D session?
it's exactly how I do it. Yeah,
Yeah.
it totally is because a good DM, and I'm not saying I'm a good DM, but a good DM who sets up a story, they'll have a beginning and they
Mhm.
have like an end in mind. Like, okay, this is where this story is going, and then I'm going to put the characters in there and let them find the story. But every once in a while, I'll go like, oh, you need to go here for whatever reason, and that's how I write. When I start a book, I never start a book unless I know where it starts and I know where it ends and I know a couple of my milestones along the way. And that's well, except for my first one. Every book, I will be halfway through another book and go like, "Oh, I got this idea," and I'll set the book I'm working on aside. I'll write three, four, maybe even five chapters and put a bunch of notes in and then set it aside, go back to what I was working on, just so that
That's
it
so
sits
smart
there.
though, so you can like hold on to that
Yeah.
inspiration. You don't slip by. So I think that's really cool. It's a
Yeah,
good
you can't let it, you can't go, oh, I'll remember. No, you won't.
no, you won't.
It'll go away.
Even the best intentions. No, you're not.
No, yeah.
Okay, so you say that you don't really start a story and really start digging into the story until you know where it starts and where it ends. I believe you said that The Shores of Deluge in your interview with Bearded Book Beast um, had 6 books planned,
Yes.
4 of them written. So
Four
do you
written, yep.
have the start and the end of the other 2 books in mind as well?
Yes, I actually have the whole kind of series in my head, and I've got like note cards back here. You can't see it on my shelf,
Okay.
where I like about a year ago, I was like, I've had all these scenes in my head for a while. I should like when I remember one, just write it down and put it there so that I've got it. Um, but yeah, I can tell you who lives and dies at the very end of the series because I know how the series ends.
Hmm.
So, and I think that keeps me from getting too far off a course.
Yeah.
Because that's the problem when you are a discovery writer is that you can just, oh, rabbit hole, I'm going to go follow this story, and you got
Hmm.
to pull yourself back and go, okay, wait a
Ooh,
minute, no,
I
this
could
is the
imagine.
story.
I could imagine that if you did that and you fell to that impulse every time, that that would make editing for, especially for like making those connections. If you rabbit hole too hard, it's like, oh man, how do I actually make this work? How do I make this work so I don't have to delete all of these hours that I put into this? I can imagine it could make editing kind of an interesting job.
Oh, that's what happened with Cathoma's Faded because I took bad advice. I took
Oh,
advice from somebody who I don't it probably isn't a discovery writer. They're probably
mm,
outline everything and they said don't edit till the very end. I wrote the whole book and I thought I was like right on target the whole time, and then I go back and I went, "Oh my goodness. This makes no sense. I'm going here and then I'm going here. I'm all over the map." I Yeah, that was a nightmare. So basically, I'll write like 5, maybe even 10 chapters, and then I'll stop and I'll go back and I'll
okay.
edit and then I'll go forward. And like when I was like 65 to 75% of the way done through Shroud of Whispers, I went back and made sure the first half was completely rock solid.
Okay.
And that's when I did, that's when I put out the calendar and went, okay, this is what happened this day, this is what happened this day, and then put it all in line so that I knew that when I was going for that, the climax of the story, it was sitting on solid rock and not like a bunch of mushy ideas.
I think that's really smart for a discovery writer. So, my advice for people, because I do developmental editing and beta reading, my advice when I talk to authors who are going through their drafting process is always to just get it on paper. Because
Mhm.
a lot of people that I work with, and people I'm friends with, and just, other people in the community that I've talked to, they have that, the rabbit hole thing, but they can do that with
Yeah,
editing to where they like end up, instead of just going through and maybe doing a quick pass, they get really, really into detailed editing, which I would argue you don't want to do until you have everything written out. So you're not
yeah,
changing in defense of that advice, which I don't think is bad advice for everybody, but it seems like your process, it doesn't work for that, and that's totally fine because it's art, and everybody
yeah.
is going to approach it differently. I think it's really smart, since you're a discovery writer, that you at the 75% mark, where you're going to start getting into the big climax and all of the things that are going to start happening all at once, to make sure the foundation that you have in the beginning is really solid. I think that's the first time I've heard that approach, but I can see that it absolutely works for you. Yeah.
It's interesting because I know where I'm going. A lot of times, like I'll have certain scenes in my head. In Cathoma's Faded, there's one that was in my head from almost the beginning, and that's where he gets the final ring. I know
Hmm.
that's not really a spoiler because you got to figure he's getting the final ring.
Yeah.
I could see the scene, I could see it completely. I just didn't know where it was. It's like,
Okay.
where is this location? I can see well, I don't want to get too into it, but like I could see the scene playing out, his reaction and all that, but I'm like, where is this location? And then when I finally realized it, it's like, oh, it's there. Okay. And then I went back and started adding in like hints as to where it would be. And if you're
Okay.
really smart like my wife, she's like, oh, I know exactly where it was within the couple of chapters. I'm part of me thinks she didn't remember reading the short story,
Mm,
and then when she read the book, it's like, oh, the it was dormant memories kind of thing going
ah,
on. But yeah, no, but she's wicked smart with that kind of stuff. Usually she's the one going, oh, that's the murderer, oh, there's the clue, there's this. It's like, oh,
some
okay,
people just have really good pattern recognition like that. Some people,
yeah.
they just and it clicks. So Shroud of Whispers book one, book two, titled, but not, you're not telling us yet.
Not yet.
When are you planning on releasing it?
Well, I'm releasing it on my website on August 23rd. And then there's this book festival that's really cool here in Western New York called Better Off Red, and I'm going to release it there. And
Oh,
then,
okay.
and then the following week, I'm going to do a wide release on Amazon, Kobo, and Barnes and Noble.
Okay. Are you planning on doing NetGalley? Are you doing some sort of ARC sign up, even if it's just you sending out ARCs?
Yeah, I've got some people that have already read Shroud of Whispers, and I've lined them up to do arcs on that as well, because those will go out probably in May.
Okay. Yeah.
Because I'll get it back from my editor at the end of April, and then get the books made, read through it, make sure that everything. I've got somebody who's the first time she reads it is after the first printing, the first proof, and she'll go
Hmm.
through and make sure, like, did I do a copy and paste error? Is there, some kind of typo in there or something like that? And
Hmm.
she'll do that. And then once she goes like, oh, it's good, then I'll start sending out my arcs.
Are you going to put out a call on Instagram um to do ARCs, like a broad call for ARCs, or are you just doing
Yeah,
with the people that you know specifically?
yeah. I've like I said, I've got some people that I've got lined up
Mhm.
and who read the first book, because that's the problem with it being a second book. You've got to have both books read, and
Mm.
it's really hard to get somebody to read one book, let alone two.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah. Even free, even if you're sending them to them for free,
yeah,
especially on Instagram where everybody has a TBR that's, I don't know, a mile long.
yeah, it's
I
stacked up here, and
Yeah, and that's just the physical books. You don't even look at their, like, ebook situation.
yeah,
I get it.
I do
So,
too.
I think I saw a picture of your physical TBR on your Instagram, and it's like it's pretty it's also pretty large.
Yeah, and like you said, it doesn't include the digital ones as
Yeah.
well. And I
Oh
work
my
at home, so I
gosh.
can't even. I work at home, so like I don't have like a drive to do audiobooks because
Oh,
I would
right.
totally listen to audiobooks in the car, but I don't have a drive anymore.
Dang. I mean, like, congratulations on not having a commute. That's always nice to be able to,
Yeah.
spend more time with your family and
Oh
stuff,
yeah,
but
definitely.
still, that those moments in the car, especially for people who like to do audiobooks, it can be like a reset moment. I believe you mentioned that, book 3 in the Shores of Deluge series was actually the first book that you
Yes.
wrote series. How are you Okay, this is, like, my question,
Okay.
is you have 6 books, you
Yep.
wrote 3 first.
Mhm.
How are you and they're not all the same main characters. So what is the overarching kind of what is tying all 6 of these books together?
There's an overarching story that goes through all of them.
Mhm,
And this is the thing that does scare me because I really wanted to release book 3 as book 1, but since I wrote book 2 and wrote book 1, and I really love Shroud of Whispers. I love the way that it turned out. And I spent so much time on book 2, I had to release them, but there are certain characters who do kind of go through some of the books.
mhm.
There's families that go through the books, like there'll be last names that will show up again, and you go like, "Oh, I remember there was a person in the last book with that name." Um, it's really, I really look at the first book and the second book more as kind of prequels
Okay.
because I wrote book 3. I'll use the numbers they have now,
Yeah.
and tried to query it and just wasn't successful. And
Mhm.
so I'm like, well, I don't want to world build again. Can I write a book that happens before book 3? And that's when I got book 2. Didn't realize how hard prequels were, which I think I said this before. Sorry, George Lucas. I understand now. Um, but also book 2 is really was a difficult story because it starts with an assassination attempt, and every other chapter are the events for the fallout of that. The other chapters are the build up to that event. So you get to
Okay.
see the assassination attempt from two different characters' point of views. It starts the book and it ends the book. So
Okay.
it was really hard at first because of the way I write. I was trying to write it in order of the two different timelines. I finally had to
Okay.
pull them apart and approach them as two separate books,
Yeah.
then break them up so that they had the same number of chapters and then push them back together.
That that's such an interesting reading experience. So basically, so let me make sure I'm getting this right. So it
Okay.
starts with the assassination,
Yep.
and then you're at the same time telling us, so almost in tandem, telling us the story of how the assassination attempt happens, and also the fallout of the assassination attempt.
Yep.
That's gonna be I'm really interested to read this because that seems like, if it's done right, a really cool reading experience.
The interesting thing is how they both move together. Because
Mhm.
there's like one scene that is really impactful, and it hits next to another scene that kind of calls back to it in the other timeline, and
That's
it was
cool.
one of those it was unplanned. It was just when I squished them together and went, oh my goodness, that's perfect. then any other time I made a chapter break or did something, I made sure the other timeline changed up so that those two chapters sat together for the rest of the time.
How much research did you have to do? Or there's like a lot of stuff in the world building and your characters. You have like these dynamic characters. You have intricate settings. You have established religion, politics. You have like this seated underbelly situation. Um, how much of that was research versus things that you have experienced in your own life?
It's interesting because like True's drug addiction was highly researched
Okay.
because I didn't want to touch that casually. I
Yeah.
didn't want to make a joke of it.
Hmm.
I didn't want to treat it lightly. And the hard part about that was if you look up opium back in the early 2000s, the Battlestar Galactica reboot, they gave the president cancer. And the lead writer showrunner said, I gave her cancer because it comes with baggage. I could have made up a space, disease, and no one would connect to it, but everybody knows somebody who has cancer. I
Hmm.
picked opium for a similar reason. It comes with baggage. You understand it. But the hard part was getting researching it to the point where opium dens were a thing. And what
Hmm.
does an opium den smell like? What does it look like? And as I was researching that, that was so interesting because if you were rich, it was a habit. You were poor, it was
Mm.
an addiction. I played into that when I was writing the book because that matters. That's interesting. As far as like the religion, it's very Christian-esque, only because that's an easy one to kind of base it off of. You can kind of
Mhm.
look at it, but then it's like, okay, I'm not going to just copy and paste and just change names. It's like, okay, I don't know where the 77 steps came from. That's just
Mhm.
something. And like then having that the way that somebody says, may he bless your steps and may he bless yours, it just something that just kind of like that makes sense. Different the societies are things that I've just been thinking about for years. And it's like all the islands, if you look at the map, every island I've already come up with like at least a basic idea of the politics, the religion, and things like that. I wanted there to be more than just one religion. I attached one that's closely attached to the magic system, which is you basically elemental. So you got fire, water, air. What's the last one? Fire,
Uh,
water, stone, earth,
Earth.
and then order and chaos.
Okay.
And so it's like, okay, people would see these magical beings as holy. Okay, that totally makes sense. And then the other religion is based off of kind of like that polytheism that you see a lot in older
Mhm.
societies. And again, that also kind of fits into, your normal life plus the magic system and all that kind of stuff. And then it's like, okay, now you've got these multiple religions. How do they interact? Book two spends a lot of time dealing with how different religions kind of bash heads over the years. It's not the main
Mhm.
focus, but it's there. I'll get obsessed with an idea, and like the next book takes place on the island of Wayan. And as I was, world building, and I'm like, I really don't have an island where people don't get along. And it's like, I think I need an island where there's multiple factions that just don't get
I know how to
along.
fix that.
Yeah, I've got some ideas.
I hope you guys are ready for some religious trauma. Oh my goodness.
And political intrigue. Let's go. Let's make
I
this happen.
I love political intrigue, so I'm really excited for book two. So you had originally tried to query book three,
Yep.
decided that going self-published was what you wanted to do instead. What has been your experience being an independently published author?
It's a challenge because there is a stigma to it. If you talk to
Mhm.
anybody who, because I know some published authors who do the traditional route, and
Mhm.
they'll say things, like, oh, good for you, kind of pat you on the head kind of thing. And it's like,
Mm.
I took it seriously. I didn't like, go to an AI program and go like make my cover. I found an
Right.
artist. I didn't just find somebody who says, "Oh, I know how to edit." I found an editor who knows what they're doing. Actually, I've had two different editors. The first one retired, and and she helped me find my second one. And I take it really, really seriously because I don't want to attach my name and my ideas to something that's not fully finished.
Mhm.
You can, I mean, I could put book 3 and book 4 out right, tomorrow. They won't be great because
Yeah.
I haven't had that input from an editor going like, "Hey, I can we boost up the scene? Oh, I don't quite understand the connection here. Can you explain it better?" And that's what a really good editor does. They open your eyes to your shortcomings and to the things that you're not, you know, I thought I had this one scene perfect um in book 2 where all these characters are ended up in the same location, and it seems odd because they're all from different areas, and I had this perfect idea of why they're all there.
Mhm.
Never put it on the page.
Oh, no.
And she's like, "Why are they all here? This doesn't make any sense." And I'm
You're like,
like,
"No, it makes perfect sense. There's
"Oh." And
oh,
then when I
no.
read it, I'm like,
Dang."
"Oh, that was all in my head. I forgot to put it on the page."
That is a huge thing. Authors, because you spend so much time in your world, it's hard to, it's hard to know what the reader will naturally inference versus what is just like, oh, you know it because you know it.
Yeah.
Versus like, oh, this makes sense. I'm naturally giving you the information that you need to make the proper guesses and inferences and all of these things. You're right. Having an editor is great for putting perspective on what you've written and making sure it is the best it can possibly be.
Yeah, and she's pushed me to make scenes better, which is, the I'll just say the painting scene with True.
Hmm.
She pushed me. She's like, "This is good. You need to make it better." And I'm like,
Mm.
"Okay." So, and I really dug into that scene to try to make it better. And I'm starting and I really apologize to my editor because it's like because I've some of these are already pre-written, but like I'll be rereading them. Like I'm rereading book 3 right now and doing edits, and every once in a while I go like, "She'll want me to put more information about that food scene. What are they eating?"
You immerse your readers. This
Yes.
add it. I
See,
you
I
know
don't care about food scenes at all. And she's like, "You need to write what they're eating because people want to know." And I've had
they
people come up
do.
to me later, go like, "Oh, I really like that scene. They weren't just eating stew." I'm like,
Yeah.
"Awesome."
You know how many times this is like it's almost a joke at this point. Not like a like, oh, this is a joke. You're a joke. No, it's more like
Mhm.
a how many times I've seen somebody in a fantasy novel go to an inn and have stew or mutton. It's like, oh, okay, they're going, I bet they're gonna have mutton or stew or mutton stew kind of situation.
Yeah,
So, and
yeah,
then you have a fantasy world, so there's always an opportunity to do more world building, even if it's on a small scale. Because, like, what if they have different animals than we do, or different food
yeah,
preparation, or different eating habits? Those are all really interesting things that seem small and maybe might not be noticed by the reader like oh like wow that's really cool that he put that there, but it just immerses them a little bit more. So I think it's cool that you have an editor that pushes you to maybe go past the things that you're comfortable with. That's where you get really great stories.
it's funny because like book 3, because like I usually write in order,
Mhm.
and I'll if I get to a scene where I just don't know what I want to do, or like I know what's going to be in the scene, but I just don't want to write it. So it'll be like a note, like they're gonna eat around a campfire, and there's a chapter that was the note for like the longest time until I finally went back.
Why? Why do you hate writing food scenes?
I this is the reason why I think because everybody's eaten a meal, and if you
Mhm.
screw it up, they'll know. Because not everybody stabbed a dragon. I've never stabbed a dragon, so I can make
Right.
make it up. Or I've never cast fireball or done something like that, so I can kind of make it up. but everybody sat down to a meal, and if you mess it up, to be like, "Ah, takes longer to eat an egg than that."
Takes longer to eat an egg. Well, that's not how whenever you're having coddled eggs, that's not actually how they're prepared.
Yeah.
See
Only
where
one
you're
meal
coming
scene I
from.
ever liked writing, and that one was kind of interrupted by, like, people being mad at each other, and I was like, "Oh, this is fun."
Nobody's worried about how long it takes somebody to eat a pork chop when people are being murdered. Being an independent author, you've also, so outside of like maybe getting a little bit of patronizing from people who maybe are traditional or dealing with stereotyping or maybe stigma that's cast on the indie community by people who are not active in the indie community. It also kind of gives you an opportunity to be more one-on-one with the people who interact with your stories. Is that
Yeah.
something that you have enjoyed, or is that something that's like, oh, that's a little heavy for you?
Oh, I
Or
love it.
yeah,
If somebody reads my book and wants to talk about it, I will talk about it with you, because I wanna know, did you know who the murderer was? Did you like this scene? Or if they have some kind of input, because it's like, that's so much fun. That's the reason why I write.
yeah,
I'm not going to be rich, I'm not going to be famous, but if I can get my stories in front of people and they enjoy them, that's really what I want. Actually, it'd be nice if it paid for itself, but you
yeah.
know
Even if like break even, art's expensive, editing's expensive. All of those costs they add up. But
yeah. It's like
I
well, I played guitar for years. It's the exact same thing in the music thing. You're paying, you've bought like $5,000 worth of equipment to travel it, take it 50 miles away to get paid $50. You're
Mhm.
like, oh, awesome, thank you.
Great. That'll cover my gas.
Yeah,
Cool.
pretty much.
Glad I'm here because I love it.
Oh, that's
Uh,
actually really fun too. Playing live is so much
oh,
fun.
oh, that's so scary. I could not even imagine. I bet it's a rush.
I'm an entirely different person on stage.
Really?
It's oh yeah, I'm very quiet and reserved in person. You put a guitar in my hands and I know what the song is. Jumping up and down and running
Yeah.
around and all. Not as much anymore. I'm getting a little old for that, but
You should you should do you should make content where you're playing guitar. You like you should. That would do so good on social media. You'd be like, "Hey, let me sell you my book." Do riffs on your guitar. It would do numbers. I promise.
I'll think about it.
You should.
I'd have to bring my amp home.
Ugh. You don't have an acoustic guitar?
Yeah, I've got an acoustic.
You could play Wonderwall. Everybody, anyway, here's Freebird. Buy my book. Anyway, here's Freebird. You know.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Um,
Like I could do
why? Why do you hate writing food scenes?
I this is the reason why I think, because everybody's eating a meal, and if you screw it up, they'll know. Because not everybody stabbed a dragon. I've never stabbed a dragon, so I can
Right.
make it up. Or I've never cast fireball or done something like that, so I can kind of make it up. But everybody sat down to a meal, and if you mess it up, be like, "Ah, takes longer to eat an egg than that." Oh, what's that song? I don't know if you can even hear this. Can you hear that at all?
Yeah, I can hear it.
Something like that.
I'm telling you, you would get so many followers, so many people. That's marketing. Marketing. You okay? One of the things when you're marketing, people can tell when you're being authentic. And if you love music, which I get, like just you grabbing that and just playing just a little bit, I can tell that it's something that you really enjoy. And
Yeah,
I think that combining those two, people would see that you enjoy that, and it would bring more people in. Bring them
I
in.
will definitely have to think about it and do something. Figure out what I'm gonna do, because I've seen
Uh,
people do it, but it's always like, ah, do I really want to do that?
You do. You don't. Okay, as somebody who is also reserved, making content for online, I feel like you gotta just film it and just send it into the world,
Yeah.
because if you take too long watching yourself, then it's like, nope, I'm not gonna send that out. You got to send it. Never watch it again. Never hear yourself say anything. Never listen. It's like whenever you hear your voice in a video and you're like, mm, I don't like that. I don't like how that sounds at all. It's just weird.
That's true. Yeah.
Putting out content on the internet, it's like, ooh, I don't like the angle that I filmed this at, and you're seeing so many that nobody else is ever gonna notice.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, you sit there and go like, "What's in the background?"
yeah. Hmm. Yes. Yeah.
I find myself doing that when somebody I know, and I'm like, "Huh, what's that picture of?" Those are album covers. And then that one up there is my oldest daughter, the very first picture of her when she was born. You can't see
Oh,
it. It's the best picture
so
I've ever taken in my life.
oh, you took the picture?
Yeah, I was there.
Oh,
I
how
was there for
sweet.
all three of them being born.
Mm. My husband was there when my kids were born, and it was he was there holding my
Hey, you feel like a what am I doing here?
he
I'm not doing anything.
that's what he told me. He was like, I don't even know what I was doing. He was there so I could squeeze his hand through the pain. That was basically,
Oh, that's rule number one. Don't hold her
yeah.
hand. She will kill your hand.
Yeah. I think I used his off a few times. So he's tough though. He made it through.
Good.
I know. The, really, he had it tough. The chairs aren't comfortable. No.
No,
So
no, I did not try to say that I had anything bad with that. I I had it easy. I just had to be there. I didn't see anything. I was there for support. I got to hold the babies. I'm
oh,
cool.
you've been writing for a long time. You said that you've been writing since you've been doing D&D,
Yeah.
right? And you said you have been playing D&D since version 1.
Yeah.
So how long have you been writing? Since before the babies, after the babies?
I started really getting serious about it after my oldest was born. So when I was
Okay.
30, um, I remember driving home from Christmas. My daughter's asleep in the back, my wife's asleep in the front, and I started coming up with the idea for what is book three. And the next day, I started, you know, trying to find a way to write it because when I was younger, I was hoping to have somebody like come alongside me and say like, "Hey, this is how you write a book," and then it never
Hmm.
happened. So it's like I finally was like, I just got to do it. I just got to
Hmm.
roll up my sleeves and do it.
I think some of the best art happens like that,
Yeah.
because so there's something to be said for practices and genre conventions and pacing and all of those things. But some of the best art comes from people who are not constrained by those things.
Well, you also have to like, if you're going to be an author, you need to read. It's like if
Yes.
you're a musician, you got to listen to music. You got
Hmm.
to listen outside your what you play. And as far as like reading, I read mostly fantasy. That'll be like 70-80% of what I read. But my wife will give me a thriller. She's like, "This is a really good book." Okay, I'll read that. Things like that, just so that you get something. Well, even watching TV or watching movies, you at least take in story and how it works and how you build tension and how you make characters that are interesting. Because like if the characters aren't interesting, everybody's just going to be like, I'm done with this.
Yes, I mean, especially when you're having character-driven stories.
Yeah.
Like I say that you know where your plot is going to start and where it's going to end, and you're a discovery writer, that leaves a lot of leeway for the characters
Hmm.
to move the story forward. If it's very, there are some dry stories that are really interesting that are not necessarily character forward, but those do not appeal to nearly as wide of an audience.
Yeah. Yeah. I
People like
agree
to
with that.
people like to connect, even like you said it really well. It's like nobody's ever stabbed a dragon, right?
Yeah.
Um, but everybody's had a meal. Like even when you are creating these fantastical worlds with different politics and different like animals and races and all of these different things and how they interact, you still manage to give us that human experience in some of your characters that allow us as the reader to anchor ourselves in this world and feel the magic and all of the stuff like that. So,
The characters are, I was thinking about this earlier. I wish I knew where the creativity came from, because what scares me is, when's that tap going to turn off? Will it ever turn off? I've talked about her in a different interview. Bidge Tenbloom is a mage in the book of Shadow Whispers. She came out of nowhere. I had
mhm.
no idea she existed until my characters needed help. And she made sense, and she walked on the page, and I'm like, you are now my favorite character. And
I liked her.
oh, I loved her.
She was so cool.
She comes back. She's one of the ones that's gonna, because
Oh, okay. I was
that's
like,
how much I loved her. I added her to books that were already done, because I'm like, yeah, you're great. I want you to continue to come back. There's certain things like will trigger an idea of a character, and that's where I kind of build it from. But like, I don't know where they come from, but I love them. I really like Samuel, and I know, like, my
mhm.
wife thinks he's an idiot, but I like him, and I
I mean,
like the.
even when characters are an idiot, you can still like them. You can.
And it's interesting because, like, there are certain characters where you just know how they're going to talk to each other, and that's a lot of fun to, like, just let them talk. It's like, oh, this will be a great dialogue scene. I can't wait to hear what they say to each other. Because the hardest, like, piece of dialogue I ever had to do is I had to lay a seed for something that's going to show up in book two, and it had to come in a dialogue, and I'm like, this feels forced. I hate this,
Mm,
but it's got to be here. And I got it to the point where it didn't feel as forced, but
mm,
that's, or like, you'll get an idea of, like, oh, they need to talk about this, and you go, like, well, it'll be in this dialogue scene, and you feel like, when you're at a party and there's a group of people and they're talking about something, like, oh, I can add to this, and then you can't get in, and
yep.
then the subject changes, and it's like, well, I'm not going to tell them about that story.
That's like my whole life. That's
That's
like
what's like.
exclusively how I actually socially interact with people, which is why the internet is a great place because you can type it in, you can reply to
Mhm.
something that happened like 6 messages ago, you can direct reply to it. That's not how things work in real life.
No.
Personally, that's hard. Timing in real life is difficult.
Oh yeah, yeah,
You
definitely.
can't go back and edit it. Like you can jam if you're writing this and you're like it has to be there. You can jam it in there and go back and fix it later.
Yeah.
That's not you don't have that
Well,
grace in real life.
that's the thing. That's the thing I love about writing, is like, it's not, your first draft is not forever, unless you're posting it or sending it out like an idiot. You can make changes. It's like, oh yeah, like I said, I forgot to put enough suspects in the book. Okay, I can go back and I can put, oh, make this person a suspect, or change this story so this person shows up earlier so they could be a suspect, or things like that. I mean, I love the discovery of writing. I love those moments where you're just like, I didn't see that coming. I'm the writer. These are my characters, and I didn't see this story beat happening. Now, I've never had a character surprise me. I've heard stories of people like, "Oh, I thought they were going to say yes and they said no." I've never had
Mm,
that happen, but I've had situations where it's like, "Oh, that can't happen because this person's hurt, or they're just not there, or something happens." I've had the story go off on me, but
mm-hmm,
I've never gone to had a character go, like, why did they say yes? They were supposed to say no. That was my idea.
mm.
I've never had that happen, but I've heard people have that problem. I'm waiting for the day. It has to happen, right?
It might. And you know what? You have what 2 more books to write. Anything is
Yeah.
possible. And after that, I'm sure.
Yeah. I can't, I'm actually thinking there's this one scene I really want to write. I think it's the end. It's going to be the last chapter in book five. I'm actually thinking about writing that now, because it's
Mm-hmm.
really strong in my head, and I've been thinking I've been thinking about it for a long time, and it also introduces a part of the world I haven't spent a lot of time in. And so I'm thinking like, oh, this will be a great opportunity for me to think about that before I get to that chapter. I can I can have those ideas there and I can start laying more groundwork and all that kind of stuff. So
You have book three. Book three being the first book.
mhm.
How are you feeling about the release coming up? Since that was the first one, and it's been a long time. You said you started really coming up with this idea shortly after your oldest was born. That's how long ago was that?
That was 25 years ago.
That's a long time for and now it's gonna be out what, next year is
Yes.
the plan?
Yep. That
So how are
I
you
plan
feeling
on doing
about
it
that?
that. I'm excited about that one. Because
Yeah?
there are like two scenes that I'm really really proud of, and I can't wait for my editor to read them and give her feedback on it. Because
Mhm.
of like there's this one, it doesn't give anything away. There's this battle scene, and I have four or five characters in that scene, all looking at it from different points of view, and I had to jump around to their points of view, and it was so interesting to kind of play through it because like what one character was doing over here affected the character over here, but this character doesn't know what
Oh,
happened. Like,
okay.
yeah, something happened, like they jump out of a window with a rope and the rope gets cut. It's because of what this character did over here, not meaning to hurt them, but it just things like that. And it was just like it was so much fun to write that. The story just came together when I was writing it. I That's when I learned I was a discovery writer, because like I knew there was a location on this island, and I'm like, I don't know what's in there. And then when I found out what was in there, I'm like, oh, that's really cool. But
Hell
yeah,
yeah, let's go.
and then I thought I'd finished the book. This is it. This is the book. And I gave it to my wife to read, and she goes, "Where's the ending?" What?
Oh, stab me in the heart. Oh my
but but
gosh.
so then I took what was going to start the next book and made that the ending to that book, because she didn't feel like some of the storylines that were set up in the first book were completely to her satisfaction. Which that's the 20,000 words I wrote while on an exercise bike over a span of 6 7 months or something like that.
Oh my gosh. Your wife is a tough critic. I like her. You gotta have she's
Oh,
definitely
she's
in your
awesome.
corner.
Yeah. Oh, she's awesome.
People people who love you and can still give you that tough criticism are people you want in your corner. Whether it's
She was
family,
terrified.
friends.
Yeah, she was terrified to read the book the first time. She's like, "What if
Mhm.
he sucks?"
Did she say that to you? Did
No,
she
she said it after. She's like, "I was really worried that this wouldn't be very good, and I didn't know what I would say, but it's good, so I don't have to worry about that
but
anymore."
well, at least you know that her response and her life is genuine.
Yeah,
Oh my goodness.
because like I said, she doesn't like Samuel. She thinks he's an idiot.
Speaking of Samuel, how did you come up with his like power set and like his special ability to be unperceived by the undead?
I wish I knew.
Ah, cool.
I think because the book that his story was written for, uh
Oh, the anthology.
the anthology. Thank you.
Mhm.
The word went.
No, yep, I
Um,
get that.
um, had a necromancer in it, and
Oh, okay.
I think that's where it started from. Is like, well, he wouldn't be able to fight that person, but how would he? What could I do? And that's the whole murder mystery came out of that idea of what those people were like, and just having him be invisible to the undead just opened up all these different ideas. And like the opening scene where the this I don't call them zombies, but the zombie is walking down the
Yeah.
street. That's totally from watching too many procedural shows. And it's like they found the body and they look at the body and see where the injuries are. And I'm like, what if the body's walking?
What if it were harder? Infinitely.
Yeah. What if it
Um,
was harder to figure out where this body's been because it's walking? Where did it die?
yeah. Where excuse me, ma'am? Ma'am, where did you Okay. Are the undead going to be nuisances that we see continually
Yes.
through the series? Okay.
Yes. Totally. That's the things that, because like I really almost dropped Shroud of Whispers completely and just started with what is now book two. But
Mm-hmm.
I got far enough into it when I started self-publishing that I'm like, there are so many like Easter eggs and things that will show up later that are getting introduced in this book and making other things more impactful later because of this book. I need to finish this book and I need to release this book.
What's the time difference between the books?
From book one to book two is depending on which timeline you're on. The
Okay.
older timeline, it's about 13 years.
Oh,
The newer one is 31, 34 years, somewhere in there.
do we see time skips like that, continual time skips like that through the whole series?
Um,
Or
yeah, book two to book three is going to be 17, 18 years. And
okay.
then book three to book four is pretty much book four picks up right where book three leaves off. Book
Mm-hmm.
five is going to pick up where book four left off in book six. So really one and two have the big time jumps, and then three through six are going to be more compact
Okay.
and more repeating characters in those four books.
I really liked some of the almost like how would you put it, like steampunk elements that we saw in book one, Shroud of Whispers. But I'm excited to see because of the time skip, I'm excited to see how you approach what is it, like innovation, like in-world innovation when it comes to technology and religions. They tend to morph
Yeah.
and society changes over time like that. So I'm really interested to see how you approach those changes.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah, that's great. Also, actually, same.
Well, it's funny because like I'm working on another like standalone book right now because I want to get books one through four, at least one through three out, and then I'm deciding on whether or not this standalone or book four is going to be the next one.
Hmm.
And this standalone has a lot of steampunk elements in it, and that surprised me. But it's because one of the civilizations doesn't have a lot of pack animals.
Mm,
So it's like, well, how did they move things? Well, now you got to get into machines or magic. And I kind of like the idea of the machines because it is this different aspect that I haven't really touched upon, like that very steampunky element of it. The flying ships in the Shores of the Deluge series, there's a magical aspect to them.
hmm.
And I really wanted to dig into more of the what would a civilization do if they didn't have pack animals evolve and things because like the animals push technology because they can do more physically than a human by themselves can.
Hmm.
And I found that really kind of an interesting idea, and it's just the background to that story because the main character is completely ridiculous. So
Ridiculous how.
the idea that started him was, you know how like magicians have a rabbit? What if
Hmm.
the rabbit is the one that has the magic? And that's him. And
Huh. Hmm.
he's so much fun because he can't stop talking all the time. And he kind of talks like this, and he's always like, "Well, I think that's really interesting. Could we do that? I would like to do that. I could jump that high. Could you jump that high? I don't think you can jump that high because I can jump three times my height. Can you? You know, just stuff like that."
How old is this character?
He is late teens,
Okay.
but he is completely just hyper and a
Hmm.
little too innocent for his own good at times.
This poor sweet child into another murder mystery?
Close, but yes,
Ah,
I'm throwing him into a terrible,
the
terrible
trauma.
world.
Great. Cool. That poor baby. The trauma he's about to experience. He's just going through life like do do do
Yeah,
do do. You're just
exactly. That's him.
oh no. Oh no. Ugh,
he does stay a little untouched because he's just so bright-eyed
yeah.
and, constantly seeing the best in people, even though they aren't really all that good.
Yeah. When you're young, you're resilient. When you're
Yeah.
young, you're resilient. And a lot of things pass over. They pass over your head.
Yep.
I just want to know if there's anything that you want to put out for your timeline that you want people to mark down. Just be aware of things that are coming up for you.
Well, like I said, I'm going to be doing cover reveal. My oldest daughter's helping me with that. She's going to do videos and stuff like that.
Oh.
And yeah, my kids are great. I love my kids. um, so that'll start happening in May. The arcs are going out in May.
Mhm.
And then my youngest daughter is making special like jewelry bookmarks to go with book two.
Oh, are these the same bookmarks that you have for the other books as well?
Yes,
They're so good. I
she's
love
so
those.
talented. Yeah.
I didn't realize that was your daughter.
Yeah,
They're
yeah.
so cute, and I love that they're on theme for your books. That's so
Yep.
cool.
Yeah, because like she when she knew there were rings in Cathoma's Faded, she started doing ones with rings in it. I have one. I don't know where it is right now because I was e-reading lately. Um, so yeah, we're and with my youngest daughter, we're going to be doing like shows in the area. So Western New York. If you're not in Western New York, you can't come to them. But like she does jewelry and the bookmarks, and I do packages that include the bookmarks with my books, uh, and we'll be doing that over the summer and into
So
the
if we
early spring.
order it from your website directly, one, you get more because you're not ordering directly from Amazon, right? So you get a
Yeah,
better cut.
yeah,
So, and then you can also order the bookmarks, the
yep,
themed book to go with it.
yep. And that's I'd finished the book. This is it. This is the book, and I gave it to my wife to read, and she goes, "Where's the ending?" What?
Oh, stab me in the heart. Oh my
but
gosh.
that's been really fun to like put that up on the website and everything like that, and just like, hey, look at these are pretty.
Look at this stuff. Look at my stuff.
Look at this stuff.
Look at this stuff.
Which makes the like doing the shows a lot of fun because like it's we sit there and we look at the people coming down and it's like they're gonna look at your jewelry. You'll be like, that person's gonna look at one of your books.
What a fun experience
It's really
outside
good.
of like being there to be a part of the community, but like also having that bonding experience.
Yeah, it's been so
Unmatched.
much fun.
Well, it sounds like your daughter is just as creative as you are, but maybe in a different way. That's
Yeah,
really cool.
she's very good, a very good artist. Like I'll be doing portrait reveals of the characters. The one she did for the female main character in book two is my favorite by far. She nailed it. So I'm looking forward to releasing that. And she does the maps, not the city map, but like the maps of the islands in the book.
Okay.
Since the book two has a lot of politics in it, she had to do two maps. She did one that's more geographical with the cities and everything, and then another one with like, here are the borders.
Oh,
And
oh, so we're gonna be seeing border disputes. Okay,
oh
okay.
yeah, a couple.
I'm really excited for this. I love political intrigue. I don't know what it is about politics and people fighting about stuff. In fantasy, in
Yes,
real life, not so much.
not
Because in
not so
real life,
much. No,
stop
no, no.
doing that. Stop it. But
No one gets hurt, but in fantasy, it's just on the page.
right,
We
exactly.
might get a little upset when our favorite characters die, but it's just on the page.
It's just on the page. Is there anything that I didn't ask you that you were hoping to talk about?
No, this is great though. We had a lot of
Yeah,
fun.
I had a lot of fun. Thank you so much for your time. I appreciate you setting aside an hour and some change for me.
Oh, no problem. I'll
All
have
right,
to
and
go
make
out
sure
now
you
and
put.
watch the Sabres game with my wife because she loves this hockey.
Ugh, my husband loves hockey too. Ugh. All right. Well, make sure you're putting me down for ARC readers.
I
Send
think you
I'm
are on the
sign
list.
up. Okay, good. If I'm not, I need to be on the list
I
for
will
book two.
I will make sure you are on that. Do you want a physical copy or an ebook?
Oh, just an ebook is fine. I don't need
Okay,
to just because I have three kids and so
gotcha.
I do a lot of my reading at night in the dark. So ebooks
Oh
are
yeah.
a way
I,
to go.
Isn't it though? I love a physical book because I like to
Oh,
put it.
me
If
too.
it's a good one, you put it on the shelf and you go,
Oh
"That's a
yeah,
good book."
I have my little
Oh yeah,
my shelf of my what do I call it? Shelf trophies. I think that's
yeah.
not. Yeah.
Oh yeah,
Uh,
totally get that. Because like I love the ebooks for like travel and reading at
mhm.
night. Oh yeah,
Yes.
I just like reading. So
Me
I wish I
too.
was fast. I wish I was faster. I
Me
can.
too.
My
I
wife
get
can
so
read
distracted.
she can read like
Oh,
70 books in a year.
that's so many books.
I
That
know.
if I'm counting ebooks, I can listen to if I'm counting my ebooks in that I can make something like that happen, but if it's physical books, oof, no.
I
I
can do
get too
25. That two
that's good. That's
two a
still
month.
really good.
2 a month plus a vacation where I get an extra one in.
You know, that's better. I mean, one book, I think what was it? The most people in America don't read even one book a year, so,
Yeah.
you
That's
know,
my son. He doesn't like to read. Although he
my
did
husband
read
was like,
Dune. He read the whole Dune series up
I think,
through God Emperor
hmm,
because
maybe he should
he
be
loves movies. So he watched the
oh,
Dune movies and he's like, I think I want to read those books. And I'm like, you should read those books. I love those books.
I think I just listened to they have the audiobook out, the immersive audio, which was really cool to listen to for
Mm,
Dune. That was cool.
yeah.
Um, anyway, sorry, I'm just chatting. Talk, 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 talk. You're
Yeah.
trying to go watch the Sabres game with your wife. Thank you again so much. I'm
Well,
really
thank
excited
you.
to book too, and I will be chatting with you.
Sounds good. Talk to you later.
Bye.
Bye.